Hi there, I'm Nicole King. I'm the broker owner of 41 Realty Group in Billings, Montana, and I am here today with Sara Schreiner. She is the owner of the Sunshine Academy in Laurel, Montana. Thank you so much for coming in and sitting with me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So I've known you for many years at this point. I don't know how many years, but lots. And it started back when I was a child care provider and you were a child care provider, and we were both in a lot of groups that were driving the industry forward. And I've watched as you started in a single location, then you have multiple locations, now you have a grant for helping providers and families, and you just are so dynamic and really you care so much about making sure that every family is well cared for and every provider is well cared for. And I just appreciate your leadership.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm very humbled to have someone say such kind things about us.
Well, it's all true. So tell us about Sunshine Academy, and then also about the direction that you're taking.
Okay, so at the Sunshine Academy, we're a school of excellence. We provide preschool, childcare, before and after school care, summer camps, pretty much if it involves children. We are involved in one capacity or another. Right now, we provide care for kiddos ages 2 all the way up through 5th grade.
Okay.
We have 2 locations. One is specialized in early childhood. The other is specialized primarily in part day programs as well as before and after school care, which works out really well because I think that all of our environments can really be set up to serve the age of the kiddos that we serve. So we don't have, a lot of times you'll hear school kids in after school programs who say, I don't want to go to daycare, I don't want to do the baby stuff, where our environment is really set up to serve that. I think
parents who worry also about like the older kids maybe trampling the babies and
yes,
that and vice versa.
Yes, exactly. I think what makes Sunshine really different than a lot of programs is we emphasize parent care as much as we emphasize child care.
Yes.
So, and this really came about when I had my daughter, and she taught me about everything I knew about childcare, and parenting was a myth.
That's so true. Yes. We don't know about parenting until we actually are parents.
No,
sure.
And so I went from a place of probably high judgment for children's behaviors connected to parenting skills to, I think God really humbled me and taught me that it does take a village in order to raise your children, and really being in childcare is part of being in a parent's village, and it's a sacred role that we can have.
I love that you believe that it really is a sacred role.
Yes.
It's a beautiful way to look at that.
No, it's a calling for sure.
Absolutely.
So we grew Sunshine from 1 location to 2. You were part of that process, which was, so exciting. It was something my husband was looking for, probably more than I was, and then our second location, everything fell into place. It was like it was meant to be, and so we expanded. Perfect time for when COVID hit. Yes. We then had additional space for school-age kids that we wouldn't have had before.
Yep.
And so we were able to serve a lot of families in that capacity. And so then we kind of just sat in the pause of the pandemic with everyone trying to keep everything as normal, I guess you could say, as possible for our families until this new grant opportunity came available.
Yeah. So tell us about the grant, because it's very, very exciting, very innovative what you have applied and been granted.
It's very exciting, and I can't stop smiling whenever I talk about it. So this, I guess, in order to understand the grant, you really have to understand the founding of this idea and where it came from. So there was an innovation grant that came out of the ARPA funds that the state of Montana rolled down specifically for childcare expansion, helping infants and toddlers in Montana. As you know, we are in a childcare desert. There's just not enough childcare and not enough variety of childcare.
Yep.
So I had a whole grant proposal wrote up, and I was excited thinking, okay, it was a traditional model. It really wasn't innovative, but I wanted to come up with something, right? I'm like, I know I can use these funds. So I went to a cousin's baby shower, and they were having a baby, and I was visiting with my cousin at my grandfather's breakfast table, and he was talking about the difficulties they've had finding childcare.
Okay.
And
they don't live locally.
No,
though.
they don't live locally.
Okay.
They're actually out in Washington, but he was saying they really wanted in-home provider for their infant, something. But what he kept seeing, and he runs a foundry out in Washington, and
Okay.
so he's a professional individual.
Yeah.
And he's like, gosh, there's all these programs, but we get on these waiting lists and they don't manage them, and then we don't know if we're on the waiting list, and then they have all these different areas of their business. They have no idea what's going on, and so there's this, why isn't there a company that could help them with the business side so they can do what they're really good at, taking care of children?
Yeah, because most providers, they get into it because they love spending time with children, and then there's all this back end work of everything from taxes to just financial management,
Processing
and
tuition, and
creating policies and procedures,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that they just don't think about.
Yes, and so I'm sitting there, and it was like angels were singing from the sky, and I called Greg, and I said, Greg, I have to scrap my original
Greg
idea.
is your husband.
Greg
right?
is my husband, but business partner.
Yeah.
I said, we have to scrap this. We need to create this new model for what childcare can look like, especially for in-home providers. And so I think people's first impression of that is, why would you want to help your competition?
Oh, that's such an interesting phrase. Okay, tell us
And really, though, this is about the kids. This is about the families.
Yeah.
And there's not a shortage of children. And there's also, but there is a shortage of the types of childcare that need to be available.
And just childcare in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really believe we're better together, and that our knowledge and the lessons that we've learned over our almost 20 years at Sunshine has really taught us so much and could be used for so much good if we could share it with others.
Absolutely.
So we started fleshing out, what will this look like, and basically we came up with like a shared hub model where childcare in-home providers that would like to start up their business can partner with us, and we essentially will help them with the business side of things. And so that comes with tuition processing, coaching and consulting, access to quality policies and procedures, connections to like insurance agents, and I mean all the things that I've already fleshed out. Now they don't have to, and now their main focus is making sure that they can watch their kiddos and be the best childcare provider that they can possibly
You're
be.
not looking to duplicate the Sunshine Academy. They don't have to create a program that is the same as what the Sunshine Academy offers. It's still their program. This is much more like, this is how to run a childcare business in a very business-like way.
Yes.
So you could focus on creating the program that you dream of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and the goal is for there to be the perfect childcare provider for every family.
Yeah.
And that requires diversity. So
Yes, it does.
if we're going to be or create the perfect childcare provider, then we need to make sure that there's not just 100 duplicates of Sunshine. We need to honor and value every single childcare provider, what their unique gifts are.
Yep.
And that's what we can do. One of the hard things about in-home care is that they work often, 50 to 60 hours of work a week just doing caregiving. And then they have to do all the business stuff on top of that.
And the shopping and the cleaning and the planning and all the things.
All the things, and
Yeah.
And so this takes one thing off of their plate.
Yeah.
So now they can really, truly run the business that they love, and be the best fit for the families that are meant to be in their program.
That's amazing. So that is rolling out now, right?
So we are in, we just got our grant finalization here in September. We're rolling. We're hoping to launch our first essentially coaching program to get providers up and off the ground running in February. And then we're hoping to have our first sites open by June.
Gosh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're thinking of opening a childcare or kind of right at that beginning stage,
Yes.
Sara is able to help you with all of that. So
Absolutely.
We'll have all of her contact information up. And certainly if you're looking to enroll a child too, you guys have been in the business for 20-ish years, right?
Yes.
Coming up on 20 years.
Yes.
So you know what you're doing. You have phenomenal staff. A lot of them have been with you for a long time.
Yes.
And it's pretty easy to get a hold of you, and I imagine if they want to tour your facility
Yep.
and all that.
You can
So-
call, email, Facebook message, all of the things. And
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. So with all that experience, what is the biggest change that you've seen from 20 years ago to now? And what do you feel like is the biggest need right now as far as whole family care, not just child care?
I think the biggest change is the confidence in parenting.
Okay.
I think that parents there was more community, so they had an easier network to go to bounce ideas off of, or to watch someone else, how they may have handled the situation.
Okay.
But it feels like even though we're very connected with technology, yes, I feel like a lot of parents are alone and they doubt how they're handling situations.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And
Sure.
so I think really parent support is what's most needed,
Okay.
because I think parents forget that they can be awesome in their career and they can be awesome at parenting.
Yeah.
And there doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And so finding the right provider will allow parents to be able to do that.
That's amazing. So beautiful. So with all the changes and everything and that parent support, if people get a hold of you, do a tour, enroll in your program, what does parent support look like at the Sunshine Academy?
Well, I think the first thing is compassion and grace.
Okay.
Understanding that parenting is the hardest possible job there is, and that there is no one way to do it that will work for every family. The other thing that I think we do really well is we're very transparent with our parents about where we see support may be needed, where we're very transparent about the strengths that we see and also the ways that we can come in and really fill some of those gaps.
Yeah.
We like to build community. We like to have involvement. The pandemic kind of put a little slowed that down a little bit, but really we're seeing that building back up, which is really exciting. But ultimately, it's partnering with parents instead of judging parents. We're not here just to be a glorified babysitter. We really are here to hold your hand through the process, to give you that encouragement when your child's been screaming their head off all morning and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And we say, nothing. You're really not. This is a developmental stage every kiddo goes through. But unless you're an early childhood professional, you don't know those things. And so we want to provide that parent education piece in alignment with our student education piece as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for everything that you do, for all the children in your care, for all the parents who are partnering along with you to care for those kiddos, and for the industry as a whole. I am so excited to see what this new program is going to do for families and childcare providers.
I am too. So thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching, and if you need childcare or if you know a provider who could be helped by Sarah's upcoming programs, please reach out to Sarah. We'll have all of her contact information on the next slide. See you in the next video.